Welcome to Jamila, a stunning ancient Roman city that is steeped in history and culture. Before we begin, it's worth noting that Jamila wasn't our first choice. After much debate, we had initially planned to visit Timgad instead, and had even hired a taxi for that purpose. However, while we were still in Constantine, where we were staying, our driver convinced us that Jamila was a much more interesting destination, and that's how we ended up visiting this magnificent city. In this video, we will take you on a tour of what we saw and share our impressions of the city. At the end of the video, I will also share my opinion on our choice, although it's important to note that my views may be biased as I didn't get to see Timgad. Jamila is located 110 kilometers southwest of Constantine and was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1982. It was known as Quicul in ancient times and was established as an ancient Roman colony during the reign of Nerva, 96-98 AD. The town occupied a unique defensive position and is considered one of the finest examples of Roman architecture in North Africa. It was remarkably adapted to the constraints of its mountainous site, on a rocky spur at an altitude of 900 meters, between the Wadi Guergur and the Wadi Betami, two mountain torrents. The town had its own senate and forum, and around the beginning of the 3rd century, it expanded beyond its ramparts with the creation of the Septimius Severus Temple, the Arch of Caracalla, the Market, and the Civil Basilica. Jamila was also marked by Christianity in the form of several cult buildings, including a cathedral, a church, and its baptistry, which are considered among the largest of the Paleo-Christian period. The site of Jamila comprises an impressive collection of mosaic pavings, illustrating mythological tales and scenes of daily life. What we will show are some aspects of each of the main landmarks, based on the Google map of the site's layout, to give you an idea of the city's space and composition. Starting from the ticket gate and museum, cross the meadow directly to the ruins. This will bring you to the end of the later extension of the Cardo Maximus, a street that crosses the center of Jamila. Passing a series of houses after some 50 meters, you will see the Grand Baths, built in AD 183 during the reign of Emperor Commodus. These baths are well preserved and were designed along a symmetrical plan with double-sided exercise rooms, 2 changing rooms, and hot, tepid, and cold rooms. Continuing north past a ruined fountain, the Cardo comes into the Place de Severa, the centerpiece of the extended town. Immediately to the left is the Arch of Caracalla, decorated with columns and Corinthian capitals. Originally graced with statues of the emperor and his parents, Septimus Severus and Julia Domna, this was the town's west gate and made an imposing entrance for people coming from Sétif and beyond. Across the expanse of the square stands the Temple of the Severan family, reached by a grand staircase fronted by rows of massive Corinthian columns. This early 3 RD century building is one of Quicul's most prominent landmarks. The Cardo leads past a row of large houses and through an arch to the Old Forum, a paved area measuring 48 meters by 44 meters. The Forum was originally lined with porticos and flanked by 3 of the town's most important buildings: the Curia, a basilica that served as town hall, and the Capitol, the central temple dedicated to Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. Although little remains to distinguish these buildings, there is a fascinating stone altar with a scene of animal sacrifice carved on its side. Just next, the Market of Cosinius is another great attraction. The market is lined with tables on which traders spread their wares. It's easy to imagine how it must have been when the stalls were full of olives, wheat, hunks of meat, fish from across the hills, and whatever else Roman Quicul fancied for dinner. There is also a carved stone that shows how weights and measures were checked. Immediately below the market, but entered from the Cardo, there is a subterranean prison that was presumably used to hold traders and others found to be cheating. The arches and vaults are impressive, and the place is still evocative. Heading back south across the Forum and up towards the Place des Saveurs, as you leave the original town walls, with the remains of the public granary on your left, take the path to the left of the temple of the Severin family. As the path suddenly drops down towards the deep valley, it leads to the theater, cut into the hillside in the 2nd century. The theater was placed outside the original walls to avoid jams for the 3,000 people who attended plays and other performances. The Christian quarter lies at the southern upper end of the town, the furthest from the original enclosure walls. At the center of the Christian community was a group of episcopal buildings, 2 basilicas, a baptistry, and a chapel. The baptistry is the most easily identified beneath a dome constructed by archaeologists to preserve the mosaics that adorn the floors. Beside it, baths, perhaps for religious purification, and the northern basilica, a 6th century building where services were held immediately after baptisms. This building was linked by a corridor to the larger basilica of Cresconius, named after the bishop whose name was celebrated on a large mosaic, now in the museum. 40 meters long, its central nave lined with elaborately topped columns, its floor covered in mosaics, this basilica seems to have been the last significant structure built in Quiquul, presumably after the Byzantines had re-established themselves in North Africa, a last flourish before the town died. And with that, our unforgettable experience comes to an end. We hope you've enjoyed following along with us on this journey. As we come to the end of our journey, we would like to humbly request for your support. If you found this video enjoyable, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you'll be the first to know about our upcoming travel experiences and will be supporting us in creating more inspiring content for you to enjoy. We are deeply grateful for your presence on this journey. Your encouragement and excitement have meant everything to us. We hope that our experiences have ignited your own wanderlust and adventurous spirit, and that you'll continue to discover the incredible beauty that this world has to offer. Until next time, safe travels and happy exploring.